Hey guys, how's it going? This is George from TechLunar.com, and in this video, I'm going to go ahead and unbox a brand new MacBook Pro 13-inch with the M2 chip, which was released a few weeks ago. So, let's have a look. Alright, so this is the 16GB RAM model. As you can see on the back, if we flip the box on the back, you see that I actually got the cheapest model, as you can see from the specifications here. The only thing that I added is the 16GB of RAM. And that's because I like having multiple programs open at the same time, which is actually more convenient for me because when I do work, I like to work on multiple stuff at the same time. So if you're not into having multiple programs at the same time and you only work on one thing at a time, then probably the 8GB model should be fine for you. So as you can see, I've gotten the light, the silver one, I think. Probably that was the one which was available, but I still pre-ordered it and I received it, a few days before what they told me. So as you can see, I got the silver one, and this MacBook is still on pre-order basis. Like, some Apple stores will have it, but if you want to have more storage or more RAM, you're probably gonna still have to pre-order it in order to get it. So let's go ahead and remove the plastic outside and see how this Mac looks like. So you take this, piece, the piece, and you just rub it around. And we carefully go on top of the box. There we go. So for this, we don't need a knife, definitely not. Okay, and then we slowly remove the cap of the box. All right. And there we go. We have the laptop. Just gonna remove the cover. Flip it on the back and just check this over and there we go. And there we go. I think this is the Space Gray edition. I'm not entirely sure which one I ordered. I just ordered the one which was most available. All right, so let's leave it on the side and see what else we have on the box. So we're gonna have, of course, the cable right here. I have the cable over here. We're gonna have, the user guide, and also, of course, we're gonna have some stickers at the back. I mean, I don't see the point of the sticker because you still have an Apple logo over there. So, but hey. Also, of course, you're going to have the charger. Now, this really depends on which region you get it. If you get it from the US, you're going to have the US version. But if you get it from Europe or the UK, you're going to have the British version as well. Now, let's put everything on the side and let's focus on the laptop because this is the most important aspect of this unboxing video. So having a quick overlook on the laptop on the outside, notice that it looks, the design is very familiar. This is something that we have seen on the past 5 years. So you see the bevel over there, and also one thing that disappoints me about this machine is that it only has two Thunderbolt USB 4 ports. It doesn't have another two on the other side. As you can see, it only has the headphone jack. And that's what disappoints me about this model, because you can only connect one external display and not multiple ones. And if you're actually looking to connect multiple other displays, then probably you should consider the 14 or 16 inch model, which is going to be a bit more expensive from the official Apple website. And unfortunately, you're probably going to guess the 13-inch model is the only one which is available with the M2 chip. The 14 and 16, they're going to have the M1 Pro and M1 Max, which are going to be a lot more powerful than the M2. But there are rumors that Apple is going to release MacBook Pro with 14 or 16 inch with the M2 later down this fall or next year. Now let's go ahead and compare it with a previous model that I have. This is not the 2021 version, but this is the 2018 version. As you can see, despite being 4 years old, it still looks very similar. So we look over on the side, you see that the thickness is very similar. And also, even if we put them on top of the other, notice that they also look pretty similar to each other. So no big differences when it comes to design, no big surprises. But if we look the inside, so if we open the cap of this MacBook, you're also gonna see that it's gonna turn on automatically. There we go. We Also gonna have to remove the cover from here as well. And there we go, you're also gonna get the hello screen, as you can see right here. Now, the most notable difference that you can see from all the models is that the power button is gonna be separate, and the escape button is also gonna be separate, which is something not seen with an older MacBook Pro. As you can see, they're all connected. And you're probably gonna guess this screen doesn't work with my old MacBook Pro, which is the prime reason why I decided to buy a new one. So let's go ahead and quickly set up this laptop. So first things first, once you get the hello screen, you're gonna also enter it into the language. So it's gonna choose English here. Go next, you're gonna choose the region, things that you're gonna see. So of course, I like the fact that they have, all the accessibility here. So if you have any problems with this, you can actually choose which, accessibility you want to use. Just for me, I'm just gonna say not now. I'm gonna choose my Wi-Fi passcode. Okay, so next step is gonna be just to accept the data and privacy, just press on continue. Migration system. Now this is very important if you come from a different MacBook, or if you have a previous Mac and this is not your first Mac that you buy. If that's the case, then what you gotta do is to grab your external hard drive, if you haven't have your Time Machine backup here, and just connect it to your laptop, and then you can actually migrate all of the data or some of your data that you have. In my case, unfortunately, this is not possible because I got the 256 gigabyte model SSD but my previous Mac has 512 gigabytes. So this is not going to be very compatible with this machine. So I'm going to choose instead, not now. And here, of course, I'll have to enter my Apple ID. All right, so once you finish with your Apple ID, then you just have to create your account, which is very simple. This is what you use to log in once you turn on your computer. So the passcode, you can just put a passcode, any passcode that you like. So it's gonna put mine. And also it's gonna be a good idea in order to check, to keep the box where it says allow my Apple ID to reset the passcode in case you forget the passcode later down the line. So in case you forget the passcode, you can always have your Apple ID in order to reset it. So I always leave this box checked. Okay, so find my Mac, definitely continue. Yeah, so that's fine, just gonna continue this. Okay, I'm gonna leave this by default. So this is basically firewall. So basically, make sure that you protect all your data. So basically your data is gonna be encrypted on your SSD. So now this is time to go ahead and set up our Touch ID. So just gonna press on continue, and at the start, you're gonna have to just keep placing your finger on top of it. So not the sides yet. Just keep pressing, just keep tapping on the sensor. Okay, now you're going to do the sides of your fingers. So you're gonna do on the left side, the right side, the top, the bottom of the finger. So again, the bottom, sides, and then it's ready. We're gonna continue. All right, just gonna continue on this. All right, and cool. And now you're ready to use your Mac. So now you can do pretty much everything with your Mac. You can actually, download stuff. You can just use it as your computer. So I actually say okay on this one. That's fine. And that's pretty much it. Okay, now that we have everything done, we have set up the laptop, we're ready to go ahead and do some basic tests. So we're gonna look into some benchmarks. We're gonna look into some read the right tests, and also going to talk about in general if you should buy this Mac or you should wait for the next one, or if you really should buy a Mac. So let's go ahead. So let's go straight into it. Okay, now that we have everything done, we have set up the laptop, we're ready to go ahead and do some basic tests. So we're going to look into some benchmarks. We're going to look into some read the right tests, and also going to talk about in general if you should buy this Mac or you should wait for the next one, or if you really should buy a Mac. So let's go ahead. So let's go straight into it. Okay, so we're going to begin with the most obvious one, and that's going to be Geekbench 5. So you can also download this for free, though there should be a small difference if you purchase the free version and the paid version. So let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to say later, and then All right, so basically run it. All right, cool. And then I'm gonna press run CPU benchmark. And then I'm gonna speed up the whole performance because there's no need to wait until the test is done. And there we go, we have a score. So as you can see, the single core score is about 2000 and the multi score is about 9000. And this is obvious because this Mac is actually 8-core CPU. It has 8 cores in the CPU. So let's scroll down and see more specifications about the score. So and in case you're interested to see how the other Macs stand, you can always go on this page, which I include down in the description, and then you can see where all the other Macs stand. So as you can see, all of these Macs here are gonna have a lower score because obviously this is an M2 chip, the other ones have an M1. And you can also check the multi-score as well. Now we're gonna leave this on the side and let's move on the next test. So we're gonna quit Chrome, and I'm gonna also confirm that we have nothing open on the background. So only Finder is open on the background. So now we're gonna move on the Blackmagic test. This is gonna test the performance of the SSD. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm gonna press on start. And notice that the writing speed is about 1600 megabps and the read speed is about 1400. Now, if you're deciding between 256 and 512, the 512 gigabytes is slightly faster when it comes to read and writing speeds than the 256. I have to be honest that the SSD cannot be changed. This has been for a while. But if you purchase your Mac, I think you can actually return it and then you can purchase another model and then you can still get the money back in order to get the 512 if you got the 256 and you see this is not enough. I think you can still return it and then get the more expensive one. I'm not sure if it works in any kind of scenario, but don't take the word out of it. Okay, so as you can see, the read and write speed is about 1.5 gigabytes per second, which is really fast. It's much faster than the previous model that I own. So no big differences here. Okay, so we're gonna do 2 more tests. I'm just gonna confirm that I have everything closed on the background. Yes, I do. I'm gonna take a record of the battery right now. So it looks like it's around 79%, as you can see here. And we're gonna do in the last two tests we're gonna emphasize on the gaming performance on the graphics card. And first of all, we're gonna do Cinebench. And this has 2 tests. We have the single core and multi-core. So we're gonna start off with the single core. So we're gonna press on start. And this is basically a rendering test. By the end of the process, it's gonna show you the score as well. All right, so after the test is done, as you can see, we have gotten a score which is 1560 and 85, if I can see correctly, which is not bad compared to the previous models. So let's go ahead right now and start the multi-core test. And again, this is an 8-core CPU with 10-core GPU. So the whole process should be done a lot faster than this single core test. And finally, we've got a score for the multi-score. And the score is exactly 8699. So about 6 times the single score. And here you can see a comparison between other models. Here's the Apple M2. These are other models, and it's doing pretty good considering the other ones are gonna be Windows PC or even servers. Now let's quit Cinebench and let's go ahead and launch the last test. Again, I'm gonna confirm that there's nothing open in the background. I'm gonna check the battery level just for fun, and we have 67% left. Not bad. Let's go to Launchpad. I'm gonna go and open Unigine Heaven. And there are some issues with this test. It doesn't seem to work perfectly on my model. So there's gonna be a GPU test again, and we're gonna go with the basic preset. We're gonna press on run, and we're gonna adjust the settings while this is running before we actually do the benchmark testing. So it's gonna load, and then we're just gonna change the quality to ultra. It's gonna load again. Then we're gonna change the settings. We're gonna make sure VSync is enabled. We're gonna increase the resolution. We're gonna say probably a full HD resolution. That'll be fine. Okay, we're gonna also make sure that it's full screen. Maybe we're gonna increase a bit more than that. Okay, that should be fine. So now we're gonna go ahead and do a benchmark. On the top right corner, you're gonna see the FPS. Right now, it's about around 60 FPS. And I'm gonna let this to finish its job. Okay, so here we have the final results. As you can see, the frames per second are about on average 60, but we also have minimum frames per second and maximum, which stands for 15 and 73 correspondingly. And by the way, this is not a very intense benchmark. This actually indicates that it can definitely play some games, but not the most intense games that you can see on the market. So we're gonna actually close this for now. We're just gonna close, and there we go. To be honest, this is gonna be a limitation when it comes to games, because some games are not gonna be compatible with the M2 just yet. So this is until the developers make their games to be accessible and supported by the M2 and M1 chipset, because of the different instructions that are in the CPU. So now that being said, we're gonna do a final check on the battery, and we see that it's about 64%. So not bad, considering that we did some testing, and since we did the last check before we did the Cinebench, it was at 79%. Now, final thoughts about the MacBook Pro 13-inch M2. I have to be honest that Apple hasn't made drastic changes from the M1. So if you happen to have the M1 MacBook Pro, then I don't think it's going to be necessary to update to the M2. But if you happen to have an Intel model back in 2018, 2017, and you're looking to buy a new MacBook, then probably this model will be definitely for you because of the lower cost compared to the 14 and 16 inch. I think this model will definitely fill your needs. I have to be honest though that it seems to be hotter than the M1 around this area, and also definitely on the back right here, which is something I wasn't expecting, because I've been constantly told that the M1 and M2 chip do not get very warm that fast, and it seems to be that there's going to be a thermal throttling issue with this model. But let's hope if it is the case, that Apple's going to come up with a patch in order to fix this issue. Although that, speaking of the battery life, we saw that after doing the Cinebench and the Unigine Heaven, it took around 30 to 40 minutes, and the battery went down from 79% to 64%, which is down by 15%. So if you do the math, then you should expect around 3.5 to 4 hours of intense work. But if you do like light work, for example, opening the browser, sending emails, watching a few videos, expect the battery life to last for more than 9 or even 10 hours. And in my opinion, I feel it's worth it, because it's definitely going to be a good machine and very powerful one to have on the go, wherever you go, and have a powerful machine with you. And that being said, I think that's everything about this MacBook Pro. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to hit the thumbs up button on the bottom of this video. Don't forget to let me know if you have any questions about this video. If you have any question about the MacBook Pro 13-inch, I'll be making more videos in the future about this MacBook, so I can get all of your questions answered. Don't forget to share this with your friends, and as always, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell right next to it in order to receive our latest videos. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'm going to see you in the next video.